Okay, we'll discuss as far as we can reach, class. So here, the topic here is on the treatment for changes in accounting policies. And as you are expected to know, the treatment for your changes in accounting policies is that they are to be applied retrospectively. But if you read your textbook, class, and also if you read the standard, of course, if the change in accounting policy is triggered by a new accounting standard, class, then you will have to apply the transitory provisions provided in the new standard. So if you're changing a policy by virtue of a requirement of a standard, then of course, apply the changes by following the transitory provisions. But of course, as a default, our rule is the changes in accounting policies are to be applied retrospectively, meaning you are to apply them as if they have been used from the very beginning. And if that's not possible, then in practice, it will be applied to the beginning of the earliest date presented, which would normally be the previous year lang. Okay? Let's answer problem 11-1. Here, what happened is that you are changing from first in, first out. Sorry, you're changing to first in, first out from last in, first out, because last in, first out is no longer allowed. The change resulted in a 600,000 increase in the beginning inventory on January 1, 2019. Ignoring income tax, the accounting change should be reported in the 2019. Of course, class, the net effect here will be applied to your retained earnings. Changes in accounting policies will not affect the current year's, will not result in an adjustment to the current year's income. So the answer here should be letter. Since you're increasing the beginning inventory, that will be an increase in asset, debit asset, and credit retained earnings. So the answer here would be letter D, delta. Now you might wonder, what is a retained earnings statement, class? So some of you might not be familiar, class, because what are the financial statements that you are familiar of, class? Statement of financial position or your balance sheet, the statement of comprehensive income presented in either the one statement approach or two statement approach, also known as your income statement, followed by your statement of changes in equity. And then you also have your statement of cash flows, and lastly, your notes to your financial statements. Okay. Basically, class, the retained earnings statement is not a requirement. Is that it? No. It's not. It's not among the basic financial statements, but it can be part of your statement of changes in equity, class. But again, it's just a component of your statement of changes in equity. That's why it's possible for you not to be familiar with the retained earnings statement. Okay, 11-2. The question here is, what amount should be reported as the pre-tax effect of the accounting change in the statement of changes in equity for 2019? So what happened here is that in 2019, we are changing from FIFO to weighted average. And then here, we are given with the January and December balances under FIFO, class. What amount should be reported as the pre-tax effect of the accounting change in the statement of changes in equity? So here, again, as what we mentioned, the adjustment, class, would be applied to the very beginning. But if that is not possible, you apply it to the beginning balance of the earliest period presented. And in your financial statements, what would be the earliest period that will be presented? It would be the previous year. So since we are in 2019, the previous year balance would be your, the beginning balance here would be your January 1. So you focus on the January 1 balance, class. And since you are transferring from FIFO to weighted average, what's happening here? Our inventory will increase from 7,200,000 to 7,700,000. So there will be an increase. You will have to debit your asset, and then you will have to credit retained earnings. So there will be an increase or an addition to your retained earnings in the amount of 500,000. So the answer there is letter A. (11-3). Question is, what pre-tax amount should be reported in the 2019 Statement of Changes in Equity as the cumulative effect of the changes in accounting policy? Okay, here, class, the only relevant information here would be, again, the beginning balance of the previous year. Since we are in 2019, we'll be focusing in 2018. So you just focus in 2018 class, and what will happen? The FIFO balance, the balance under FIFO is 8,300,000. The balance under weighted average is 7,800,000. So you just focus there. So since we are changing from FIFO to weighted average, we'll have to bring down our beginning inventory from 8,300,000 to 7,800,000, which is a decrease of 500,000. So the answer there would simply be letter A. 11-4, the cumulative effect that accounting change should be reported in the 2019. Class, obviously, your answer here should not be letter B or D, because change effects of your changes in account, the effect of an accounting change should be cleaned or cleared through your retained earnings account. So definitely not your income statement. Okay, and then the issue now is which between the two amounts, the 2 million and the 1,400,000. By the way, where do we get the 2 million? There's a difference between the 9 million and the 7 million. Under the old method, we have 7 million, but here, under the new method, it would have been 9 million. So there will be an increase in our income of 2 million. But since we're given with the tax rate of 30%, the net income really there would just be 70% of your 2 million. And how much is 70% of 2 million? That is your 1,400,000. Okay, so that would be letter C. Next, 11-5. What pre-tax amount should be reported as the cumulative effect of change in accounting policy in the statement of retained earnings for 2019? So basically, class, we will just be comparing your income under the old policy and under the new policy. How is this different from 11-4 class? In 11-4, we were already given the total income under the two policies. Here, you will have to determine your total profit under the two policies. Let's start with the easier one class. Under the percentage of completion, you will just have to add everything for 2016, 2017, and 2018. So meaning for 2016, that's 7 million plus 5 million plus 3 million. That is 15 million. For 2017, that's 8 million plus 7 million plus 1 million. That is 16 million. For 2018, you have 2 million, 6 million, less loss of 1 million. You will have 7 million. So 15 million plus 16 million plus 7 million will give you 38 million. Then you compare that with the income under the previous policy. So you will look at the bottom line class, the 7 million, 13 million, and 10 million, you would get 30 million. But you would be mistaken, class, because you would fail to recognize that the amounts given there includes a casualty loss of 2 million, which should not be included in your income based on the contract slab. So the income under the old policy should be 7 million plus 13 million plus 12 million plus. So that would be 32 million. Am I correct? 7 plus 13 plus 12, 32 million. So 30 million under the old under the cost, is this cost recovery? Cost recovery method, and under the percentage of completion method, your income should be 30, was it 38? So by changing to percentage of completion, your aggregate income should be increased by 6 million. Okay, so the answer there would be letter A. Next, 11-6. What is the balance of retained earnings on December 31, 2019? Okay, we start with the 850,000 balance on December 31 class. Then we just reflect whatever adjustments we will have to make as a result of the changes or the errors class. What happened here is that there were errors in the computation class. These errors resulted in overstatement of each year's income by 25,000. So income was overstated, so that means retained earnings will also be overstated. So how do we correct an overstatement? We deduct. Okay, and then the net income for 2019 was correctly reported at 500,000, and we know that income will increase retained earnings. So starting with the December 31, 2018 balance of 850, we add our income of 500,000, but do not forget to deduct the effect of the errors class. But of course, the effect of the errors will not be applied to the income of 500. It would be applied to the beginning balance of your retained earnings since the correction happened in 2019. So you correct the 850, but there's one thing you have to be careful of here, class. The amount that you will adjust the amount of adjustment to your beginning retained earnings will not just be 25,000. Why not just 25,000, class? Because the 25,000 is for each year. So that means for 2 years, class, the 2017 and 2018 depreciation expense was understated. Okay, so the net adjustment here would be 50,000. I hope you get where we got the 50,000. That's 2 years worth of 25,000. Okay, so 850 minus 50, the adjusted retained earnings there would be 800. And then plus the income of 500, we will have 1,300,000. So the answer there is letter A.